Okay, so let's give this a shot. I'm gonna try and queue up for Halotl, and my monitor kind of turned off for a second there. That was cool, and kind of just show you what exactly, just kind of how to tank basic general rules. So before we pop in there, let's kind of go over, what your basic role is. And your basic role is, of course, to grab the attention of all the enemies, face them away from the party, and then just keep hate on them. Simple stuff. But how do you go about doing that? Well, your basic skills are going to be Tomahawk, so it's a ranged attack with a potency of 300. You'll notice it's 15 yalms. So it's very similar to just about any other melee DPS, the dagger throw, the javelin throw, all that kind of stuff. So if you're used to throwing things like that, it's the exact same range. You've got your overpower, so it's potency of 220 to all enemies in a cone in front of you. And you'll notice both of these have an increased additional effect, which is increased enmity. So beyond just the damage that you do, it's going to give you increased enmity on a target. So of course, when you damage an enemy as anything, or if you heal something, you gain enmity on them, right? But how does a tank, keep enmity on something when they do less damage than a DPS? Well, the trick is to use your skills that give additional enmity. So then you've also got, a basic melee combo. You've got Heavy Swing, which combos into Skull Sunder. So you'll see combo action does 200 potency, and it also gives increased enmity. So that's what you're going to use to keep hate on a single target. You can also tab target and swap between targets to deliver your combo to each one of them individually, if there's not too many targets. Otherwise, you're better off just overpowering. Then you've also got Heavy Swing to Maim. So Maim, when comboed, is a 190 potency combo. So you don't want to be, that's not your main combo in this level of area, what you're doing. Because you'll notice combo potency of Skull Sunder 200, combo potency 190. So you're losing 10 potency, which, it's whatever, but it adds up. So, but it also, the reason you want to combo Maim is because it increases damage dealt by 20% for 24 seconds. Which then allows you to keep using your Heavy Swing Skull Sunder combo, and because you're dealing more damage, you're getting increased enmity. So that's kind of, that's your basic maneuvers. You've also got a couple different things here. So you'll notice in your cross-class skills, I've gone ahead and cross-class Flash first. The main reason I cross-class Flash so early is because if I ever, hate myself and I want to do a guild test, I won't have access to overpower at the first couple of guild tests. And, it's not a really big deal, but having AoE enmity moves is kind of a big deal for tanks, and when you don't have them, it kind of sucks. Then Provoke, which Provoke I like because if I mess up and I lose hate on a target, I can immediately snap back and grab that hate and then, do one of my increased enmity maneuvers, such as Overpower, Tomahawk if, it's run away or anything, and bring it back to me. Internal Release, because of course, more damage, more good. Convalescence, which is a paladin skill, which increases HP recovery via healing magic by 20% for self, keeps you alive. And then Awareness. Awareness' big thing isn't going to come up until, I think, about 56, 58, where you get a skill that you activate it, and then any damage that you take from the sides or back is considered critical damage, which, of course, Awareness will completely block. So that's good, A+. So, apart from that, you should have Berserk, so increases attack power by 50%, unable to use weapon skills for 5 seconds after effect ends. So again, you want to basically do that after you Heavy Swing, Maim, activate Berserk, and then just go hog wild on your Heavy Swing, Skull Sunder, fracture a couple guys, stuff like that. And then when you get your 5 seconds of pacification, Flash isn't a weapon skill, it's a spell. So then you just hog Flash, and for, two GCDs, or even one, depending on what your connection's like. And so then you're still maintaining enmity, but you're not making those super obnoxious macros where you require a cleanse right now. You've also got Brutal Swing, so that's stun, Typically, unless there's a specific mechanic that calls for it, I just like to combo it in after I get my MAME up, because, you know, damage dealt by 20%, so that's an extra 20% on top of 100, good stuff. Fracture is your damage over time. You want to try to apply that as much as possible. You've also got Foresight, so increases defenses by 20%, or defense, so not M defense, but specifically physical defense. So make sure to be popping that in, you know, kind of as often as possible, really, but especially when you are, you know, taking a big pack, and then just kind of like right at the beginning, so that you are taking, you know, less damage. Bloodbath converts 25% of physical damage dealt into HP, so that any damage that you do, physical damage is dealt into HP. So that's really useful if you combo that with Overpower, because it's 25% of each hit that you're doing on the Overpower. So that's good stuff. So let's now that we know what our skills like, let's go ahead and try to put this into action. So I'm going to go ahead and queue up for a Halotalo. We'll go ahead from the start. I just don't want to try to worry about in progress. So you wanna, your Skull Sunder is at this point your main damage combo, and it's also your enmity combo. So you actually want to be doing Skull Sunder for as long as MAME is up, and then when MAME falls off, refresh MAME and go back to your heavy swing Skull Sunder combo. Okay, so let's go ahead and move out. So you'll notice we want to, so let's come up on this pack here. So what we want to do is we want to grab the closest person, want to wait until Tomahawk is in range, fire Tomahawk, move up close, move behind him, wait till everyone's lined up, overpower, good, go ahead and do a stun. First, grab our main combo, and then we want to apply Fracture. I've already lost 8 on the Heckler below attention. So all we need to do then is heavy swing, Skull Sunder, grab it back, and do that again. And then we'll just go ahead and do a little power. So a little rough. Let's try that again. So basically, people are just kind of doing damage and wasn't paying attention. So let's grab those gas bombs. What we'll do is we'll Tomahawk him and pull him over here, and then we'll actually Tomahawk this group to get it all ready. Move behind them, overpower, and you know what? Let's add another overpower, just so, you know, extra enmity. I don't have to worry about anything like that. Second phase, that's cool now. So we notice with the gas bombs, it's a lot of damage right away. So what we want to do is make sure that we focus our damage on that target. You'll notice it's falling off. Refresh that. Finish off that imp, and then our heavy swing Skull Hunter. And that's it. Alright, let's move on to the next group. So we got a patrolling gas bomb, so we'll go ahead and give it a second for our TP recover. And grab him. This combo, we're gonna go for gold. We're gonna grab this guy. We're gonna line everyone up, overpower, activate bloodbath, and after overpower a couple more times. Just to get a nice threat. Beautiful. Alright. Switch to gas bomb. And we'll go ahead and bonus up. Rock door. You'll notice here, I don't have enough TP for a flash, but I'd like to get a little more enmity. So all I need to do is use flash. And you'll notice there a new bomb here. So all I had to do to react to that was target it, tomahawk it, and that'll pull it into position so that I can overpower it without using a flash. You'll notice that our Bard is doing some AoE. Whenever we've got AoE going, we want to make sure that every once in a while we add in an overpower or a flash to make sure we've got it. Alright, good stuff. So you'll notice the issue with low-level Marauder is, you know, you kind of run out of technique points pretty easily. So let's go ahead, wait a couple seconds, just so we want to be able to do a tomahawk, a couple overpowers before we get into the Since you are not a warrior yet, you can put crossbow straight, and that would be a pretty good idea, honestly. Helps keep things along, helps cover if you need to add more power. Notice that guy's running away, so even before the aggro table updates, you can kind of tell that that guy's running. So for this fight here, of course we want to trust our DPS to do mechanics. So basically all we really need to do as a tank is sit here and go hard long. We're going to actually activate the zero. Go ahead and do a bunch of combos. And I'm actually going to run out of berserkers, so what I want to do before it runs out is drop my combo that actually helps us. So you'll notice activation comes and still use flash, but you're not wasting CDs, still making ability. And back to this. And fracture's going to run out. Fracture. Go ahead and pop for a second. I don't actually think it's necessary stuff. But the less damage that we take as tanks, the less that the healer has to do, which allows them not to run out of MP, but also more importantly, gives them emergency. Yes. Fracture ran out for 16 seconds. Refresh that. So unless I'm not really saving little swing frames in particular there, I'm just kind of using it whenever it's up, just for the activity. If I don't need it, if I don't need the stun mechanics, there's not a lot of point in me bothering with saving. And we're going to take a look at it. It's not a Okay, so you'll notice I kind of actually ran out of TP at the end, and that's just because refreshing Fracture at 80 technical points is expensive, but it does do, quite a bit of damage, so it's worth refreshing. Just make sure that you're, if you go into the fight with as much technical points as possible. So, run behind them, climb up, overpower, excellent. Melted. I'm going to swap off the Scytheman just because he's so low health that even if I would lose hate on him, he's going to die so quickly that it really doesn't matter because he'll get maybe 1 or 2 attacks off of someone, and that's not a big deal. And a gas molecule, so you can deal with just hit it once and leave. It pulls itself up, whatever, who cares. Alright, again, so Tomahawk, move behind them, overpower. I went ahead and activated my foresight for this, and I'm going to mix in a couple more overpowers. Grab make sure I maintain 8, and also just because everyone's kind of taking some damage, the Bard is trying to do it. So you'll notice, swap off on the Scytheman, it's that low, because, again, my main priority here is to maintain hate on targets. Alright, so 3 lightning sprites, so just line yourself up, hit the overpower, and do a couple more overpowers, why not? Well, those are all kind of taking damage in the same way. Sparks. So we'll just go ahead and assist. All we're going to do is deal, and we just kind of have to wait a second or two. And put on Swift Song. Oh, there we go. We all got Swift Song now. So wait a second. So grab that one. Position ourselves. Overpower. So notice this one, the AoE isn't going to be quite as fast as you're dealing with melting a lot of the time. So just make sure that you pay attention to which one. You'll notice one has targeting. Make sure, as long as you've done a couple overpowers, as long as you're doing a couple overpowers, target the one that your melee DPS is fighting. They're hopefully fighting the same one, but just so to maintain hate, because they do the most single target damage, and if they do enough single target damage, they're gonna. And okay, line them up, and you'll notice that overpower, I actually like to get range of that Python. That's important. We want to make sure that when we try to use an overpower, that the target that we are targeting our overpower is in range. Just make sure you're close. Things like Flash and Dark Knight's Unleash do not have a, they do not need a target to focus on, which makes them a little bit easier to use, but also not quite as easy, oddly. And just take a couple seconds here to refresh TP in case there's lightning sprites. Wow, what a surprise. I think actually so helpful indicator, we'll see some of overpower on wow. I love that bit. Is to see if damage numbers pop up. If congratulations. If not, then you need to reposition yourself. Big group coming up ahead, so I want to make sure that I've got enough technical points to get a couple overpowers off. 3, 2, 1, go! Notice that first Coliseum Python, people kind of damaging a little bit more, so just in case they didn't know to rotate off the way I targeted it, you can't put it on. Just make sure you know I can as it moves up to you. You'll notice everyone's kind of doing their own thing, they're doing their own targets. I'm out of TP, so you know what? Just do a couple flashes, make sure it's all nice and cool. So when, you know, we got some AoE going on, all we need to do is make sure that we're keeping hate on every target, and you can tab target between every single one of the mobs in the pack, and, you know, do your heavy swing Skull Sunder combo on them, or you can overpower, and overpower is almost always the better choice, as long as you've got, say, 3 targets or more, because it's just easier to maintain. Right, so this guy. What we need to do here is get close enough, tomahawk him, and then as he's running, keep tomahawking him until we're in position. And now he's out of the water, which is good enough. Go ahead and activate your wall, just because, you know, why not? And just wail on him. And you see he's already running back. This boss is fun. So all we need to do here is just wait for these lightning sprites to appear. We don't need to tank these as much. All we need to do is just kind of kill them. It's not a, just don't worry too much about chasing after them. It's not a big deal. Once the horse is running all over the place, in which case you can't help it. And back, so tomahawk him, position. Go ahead, exert, maim. Go ahead, wild bird, some damage. So the trick with dodging AoEs, especially is to get out of the way for the orange. As soon as the orange disappears, move back into position. And, you know, this is the same for everyone. It's especially important as tanks so that you minimize the spinning of the creatures, which helps to avoid, you know, cleaves, and it helps to, it helps to make positions. Alright, and he's back. So again, in position. Not too bad that tank gear didn't drop last time. Now I feel like being a little bit of an asshole here. I've got all my defensive cooldowns up, so I'm gonna go ahead. These guys here. Grab it. Grab you. That's good stuff. So we activate Overpower. Of course, you'll notice one of them is creatures there. We did my aggro on. He's 6. Provoke it. Tomahawk it. Stick here and Overpower. And then we're out of TP. Flash a couple times. And explode here. So explode. Stop. Exploding. Dodge. Stop. So the big trick with this boss is remember that there's a couple periods of invincibility that he has. So first thing to do is pull him in, nice and close, tomahawk. Go ahead. Get our main combo up. Pull him there, and then he goes invincible here. So we can't do anything. So the best thing to do for us is to just go ahead and take down his hard. Because we can't do any damage to Pingata, and he will damage us if we're close enough. So, best thing to do, just go ahead and take care of the ads. Fracturing. Yes. So, technically you should be tanking Hengada as close to the center as possible, because that way the fires have the most time to get into him. As long as you're not tanking him for like pushes or affecting his enemies, it's not. Out here, so we'll go ahead and Spell Thunder, Fracture right before main runs out, because of course we want to do damage. So that Fracture is going to give us, or it's going to have a 20% increase in damage, even though main fell off. And MRD doesn't break. Oh, he actually is going to break. Oh my god. Good job, guy. You did it. Hell, I'll even give you the command for that. You actually used the limp break, even though it was kind of really late. And that's it. So the basic things to remember there is to maintain your enmity combo, and also kind of pay attention to how how the cone of overpower works, and how you position everything so that overpower hits them all.